Calling all lovers of mystery and fans of a good story. If you haven't already heard me talk about June's Journey, you're in for a treat. It's time to don your detective hat in this free hidden object mobile game that delves into the captivating journey of June Parker, a self-proclaimed detective on a quest to unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's untimely death. In June's Journey, you get to play as June, deciphering clues and unveiling secret plots within thousands of beautifully illustrated scenes. And did I mention it's set in the glitzy 1920s? New chapters are added weekly, so you will never run out of new thrills to uncover, and you can also personalize and decorate your very own Orchid Island where the story takes place. How sharp are your detective skills? Find out when you download June's Journey on your Android or iOS device, or play online via Facebook Games. Your detective journey awaits.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ohanian. You may know me as one of the co-founders of Reddit, but more recently, a large part of my identity is being a father to my wonderful daughters. In my podcast, Business Dad, I hope to open the conversation about working parents a bit. You'll get to hear from a wide range of business dads, from Rainn Wilson and Guy Raz to Todd Carmichael and Shane Battier, to find out how they balance being a dad with a successful career. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
In 2005, two brothers hit the road to chase demons and fight monsters.
Fighting a couple of angels, too.
And eventually save the world.
A bunch of times. Over 15 years, this series has built one of the most dedicated fan bases in all of entertainment, and that fan base is near and dear to our hearts.
That's right. I'm Rob Benedict. I played Chuck Shirley, a.k.a. God.
And you do a darn good job, too, buddy.
Aw, thanks.
Well, I'm Richard Speight Jr. I played Loki, the Trickster, and Gabriel, and I directed a bunch of episodes.
Wow, is that it?
Well, I directed you. I don't know. What do you think?
Though we worked on the show for years, we never sat down and watched the entire series.
But that was then, and this is now.
That's right. We are watching each episode and inviting the actors, the writers, producers, and crew to join us in digging into the story, the characters, and the mythology.
These guests share some fantastic behind-the-scenes stories with us. You're going to love those, and you're going to get our honest opinion about each and every episode. That's right. Those guests share some fantastic behind-the-scenes stories with us, and each episode gets a full, honest, and unfettered review from Rob and Rich. And you get to learn a little bit about how TV is made. Lord knows we have.
A warning, there are spoilers. And don't get frustrated that we haven't caught details for multiple viewings or that we know what happens 3 seasons from now. This is the first time we're watching these episodes. And you're there for the ride as we watch with our virgin eyes.
Oh, that's creepy. Thanks for joining us on our journey as we deepen our understanding about why you love this series so much.
Hey everybody, this is Rob Benedict.
And I'm Richard Speight Jr.
And we're telling you to abandon all hope.
Yeah, guys, it's just time to give up. I didn't necessarily feel that way this morning coming into this podcast, but we're all doomed.
We're all doomed.
So
we're all doomed.
It's been a treat, everybody. Been a pleasure. Rob, you know, we've been through a lot together, and it's been a good run.
It's been a good run.
You know?
And look, if you've tuned into this podcast because you've abandoned all hope, you've come to the right place.
Yeah, because now anybody clinging to hope, there's going to be a podcast better suited for you somewhere else. Maybe the Cling to Hope podcast or something. But this is the Abandon All Hope lane we are filling.
Well, good news. It just so happens the name of the episode of Supernatural we're talking about today happens to be, total coincidence, it's called Abandon All Hope.
You're kidding me.
It's the name of the episode. Yeah, crazy.
Oh, my God.
It's season 5, episode 10. And before we get into it, wanted to let you know there's still a few copies of Rob's Dumb Notes available.
And they are so dumb.
And they're so notes.
And so Rob.
And so you can get them at spnthenandnow.com. That's SPN.
It's a great little notebook. It looks like I've done all the scribbling on it.
It's really fun.
You know, because it's Rob's Dumb Notes. You know, you guys can make your own dumb notes in Rob's Dumb Notebook.
Yeah.
But it's got Rob's writing on the outside and then my writing, like I took his notebook and scribbled all over it, just like I would, you know?
Here's a hint. That's the dumb part. Richard's dumb scrawling over my notes.
Really? Because I think when you open up and see what you've written down, it's pretty dumb.
Well, now you're talking to the people because it's open pages.
No, specifically, I'm looking at you.
So go to spnthenandnow.com to purchase yours today. Okay, let's get into this episode. Abandon all hope.
Okay, hold on. Let me do that real quick. And, all right, go.
The episode opens with Crowley, king of the Crossroad Demons, closing a deal with a shady businessman.
Why does it even matter? There's nothing to live for. Fine, Crowley closes the deal.
Richard is still abandoning all hope. So we get to start off with like a juicy kiss too. I knew there was kissing with Crowley. I've never seen this episode, never seen Crowley's entrance. This is all new to me. But to see him making out right away, that was...
Did you say this is all nude to you?
I didn't.
That's what it sounded like.
Well, it's not what I said.
Well, that's what you meant.
I said it's all new to me.
Nude Umi is what it sounds like you said. Nude Umi.
Well, now I've abandoned all hope. It's Crowley kissing on a guy. No thoughts on that? Crowley making out? Nothing. All right.
Are you taking a caller or me? No, I feel like Mark really committed to that moment with that actor, and you know that's like it's like the Godfather. You know, it's going to be it's not going to be one of those fun Mark Shepard kisses. It's going to be one of the ones that leads. No,
I really
bad.
appreciated the moment, and the other actor played it well too. And what a great entrance for Mark Shepard as Crowley. Wait,
oh yeah,
there's gonna be more of that. Something tells me. Castiel, whose name no one seems to know how to pronounce. Some people say Castiel.
But I think it's Castiele.
Castiele.
Right? Castiele.
Sam says it kind of weird in this episode. Crowley said it a little bit strange. Anyway, Castiel. Castiel has located Crowley's mansion, but he can't enter because it is protected by Enochian symbols.
Crowley's mansion. Boom, boom, boom. Won't you let me in the door? Dang, dang, diddle, diddle, dang.
Sam and Dean enter.
Crowley's mansion. Is that new parquet floor?
Sam and Dean enter with the help of Joe Harvell. Joe's back.
Joe.
And looking very spiffy in her dress that helps them get into the grounds.
Oh, yeah.
And Crowley isn't surprised to see the brothers. He was, in fact, expecting them. Crowley hands the colt to the boys. He wants them to kill Lucifer. Crowley fears that once Lucifer's done with the apocalypse, he'll wipe out all the demons. The Winchesters, the Harvells, Bobby, and Castiel gather at Bobby's house where they make plans.
Yeah, man. And drink themselves silly, by the way.
They have just a party night, man. Castiel doing all the shots and hardly phased, just like in real life.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how about that Crowley scene, too? Just Mark Shepard is just a great actor and just nails that role.
I mean, it's such a great, strong entrance for a character. I mean, we know Shepard personally and know him to be a great actor, a great guy. But back then, nobody, we didn't know him.
We didn't know him, yeah.
And he just comes down and just rips the curtains off the rails.
Yeah, he is that guy.
So
yeah. Well, meanwhile, back at Bobby's, there's a party, and because they believe it's their last night on Earth, so they try to have a little fun.
Could be hungover to fight the.
I wouldn't have, as their coach, I would have said, guys, come on, bedtime.
Maybe dial it back.
Dean tries to hit on Joe, and Joe says, it's not happening.
Smart move, Joe.
So Bobby stays back while the rest of the team heads to Carthage, Missouri, not far from my hometown. Castiel sees reapers everywhere. Something big is going down. He goes to investigate further and gets trapped by Lucifer in a ring of holy fire. Rich?
I got trapped in a ring of holy fire. I went down, down, down. Hey, look, there's a car tire, and it burns, burns, burns. Ring of holy fire, ring of holy fire.
Meg shows up and has hellhounds with her. She lets them loose to attack the Winchesters and the Harvells. How about this cast in this episode? So many great.
I mean, it's the greatest hits.
Joe gets badly injured while rescuing Dean during the attack. The group takes shelter in a hardware store, or Hardware Stone. You tell me.
You know what? You gotta love Rachel Miner, by the way, just coming back in and just with all the sass and panache.
And I love how giddy she plays it. She's just so excited and happy to be just.
She's like a kid.
Yeah.
And I also think the effect of the Hellhounds is super cool.
It is cool. There's so many things in this episode.
I love the way they do that with you see the paws basically stepping in the puddles of water.
Yeah.
And they do it with the noise. And they had that POV shot of the hounds, but just like the way Dean shoots at nothing and you see blood fly out. It's just
It is cool. And
the whole
there was a lot in this episode. Again, it's a Phil Sgriccia, so you don't expect anything less, but The shots of at the beginning with Mark and Crowley and Castiel walking away, and then he goes past the pillar, and then they're gone. You know, they don't do a lot of that in the show, and Misha seeing the Reapers, but no one else seeing them. It's very
so cool.
It's very Dead Boy Detectives, really, which we've talked about recently.
I like Bad Boy Detectives.
Sure. I know you're going to
sounds like a good
all
show
over
too.
Me for that.
Yeah, there was several. I noticed the same thing. Is that Phil did several of those type of shots super effectively in this episode.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it's very cool, very well done. So they take shelter in a hardware store.
You know what? Another one that was cool. So you're talking about like the Castiel reveal of the Reapers. Two other great ones. Castiel getting out of the car. Remember, she's like, "Hey, can you use the door handle?"
Yeah, and he's right. He turns around, he's right there. Yeah,
he's right there. And then when he's up in the window, you see a shot through the window of him looking up. And up, and
then he's there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
We'll have to ask
really
Phil
cool
about
shots.
that. Really good stuff. So they take shelter in a hardware store. Dean calls Bobby, who tells him that Lucifer must be doing a ritual to summon the horseman, Death. Joe knows she's mortally wounded.
Which is such a bummer, man. Joe getting attacked by the hellhounds. How do the dudes avoid it?
I don't know.
They're sitting there wrestling dogs, and the dogs don't get their
I know, but then
claws in them.
Yeah, poor Joe. Maybe she should have slept with Dean the night before. I don't know. That's one I'll let people discuss.
Yeah, I'll let people discuss that too while I stay completely out of that debate.
She suggests they build a bomb and use her as bait to lure the hellhounds in. Joe, no. No, Joe. Don't even think about it.
No, Joe, don't go.
But then Ellen, in a twist, insists on staying with her daughter. So we're really lamenting Joe giving herself up, and Ellen last minute. We're losing Ellen too.
Yeah, and by the way, Joe, I'll take one for the team, dies before the explosion.
I know, it's a real kind of a.
I mean, if Ellen hadn't been there, the whole thing would have gone
a bit anticlimactic. Yeah, it would have.
She would have died and let the bomb off before the dogs were in the room.
Or she would have just died, and the dogs would have eaten her dead body, and then they would have gone and eaten the boys.
Gotten stronger.
End of series.
Gotten the boys. I love that shot of where Sam Ferris is sitting there and the dog's breath is on her hair.
Yeah, that was great. That was so good. So Dean does get a chance to give Joe a kiss goodbye, so they have that. And Sam and Dean escape the building. Joe quietly dies in her mother's arms, and the hellhounds get in, and Ellen blows up the hardware store, killing the beasts and herself in the process. Sam and Dean have found Lucifer.
Super, super sad moment.
Really sad moment. You know, the Harvells are kind of a tragic characters in the whole supernatural saga. Like, we meet them in season 2. We love them. And then, of course, the bar burns at the end of the series. No more bar, no more Harvells. And then every time they come back, I just feel like they're getting it. And finally, here they are.
You always feel like, dude, they're such great characters and they're so tied to the boys' story. Even though we haven't seen them in so long, there's definitely history there that is very apparent in the performances and the writing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. They're great. And it is sorry to see them go. So Sam and Dean have found Lucifer. He's surrounded by dozens of townspeople, and they're all possessed by demons. Sam distracts Lucifer, allowing Dean to get close and shoot Lucifer in the head. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work at all.
He's Lucifer.
Yeah, well.
And how?
It'd been nice if the instructions said that on the weapon.
Again.
You know what I mean? Will not work on Lucifer.
This episode, it has Mark Shepard, amazing actor. It's got Rachel Miner, amazing actress. And it's got Pellegrino, the Harvells. I mean...
Sam Ferris, Alona Tall.
How great is Pellegrino? He's just so good.
I love him and everything he does. He's always so great.
Okay, so they shoot him. It doesn't work. Back in town, Castiel tricks Meg into breaking the Ring of Fire, Rich.
Castiel tricks Meg into breaking the Ring of Fire. He lays her down, and she turns out to be a crier, and he walks over her to leave the Ring of Fire, the Ring of Fire.
And that allows him to escape. So Lucifer continues the ritual by sacrificing demons to summon death. Castiel stealthily teleports himself, Sam, and Dean back to Bobby's place.
That old stealthy so-and-so. Yo, I didn't see that coming. God,
at Bobby's place, the news plays in the background and reports about the immense loss of life in Missouri. Bobby, devastated, takes a photo of all the hunters, the one that they took earlier, their last photo together, and tosses it in the fireplace. What?
Why the hell would you do that?
Like, frame it and put it on the wall. These are your besties.
Not only that, but you got it printed in record time because you can't drive anywhere. And somehow got that over to the photomat, got it printed up with a nice border in black and white, go figure. But then you did all that work just to toss the thing in the flames.
He probably has a dark room, but still, after all that work.
But it might be upstairs. How's he doing that in the wheelchair? Like, that was a big hole in the story. I was concerned.
Yeah, it was. And so, as the only copy of their best friends on Earth.
Here's where they got you.
Oh,
here's where they got you.
Another one?
The negative. Well, I'm assuming it was film, right? Because he had it printed up or something.
I don't know. They didn't get into it.
Looked like a film camera, an old film camera to me. So I'm like, then I thought, oh, Bobby's got the negative.
Oh. All right. Well, I hope you're right, because as it burns,
I'm pretty positive about the negative.
Well, as it burns, they mourn the loss of their friends. End of episode. That could be. Here's another thing I have a question about. Is the death that he's summoning, is that going to be Julian? Is that Julian Richings?
I don't know, right?
Is that Julian?
We gotta watch another episode to figure out if that's gonna be Julian Richings as dead.
I know. Well, I did watch the next episode, thinking that maybe Julian Richings. That was Julian Richings' episode, but it was not.
No, it was not. I don't know. Actually, it's a fair question. It's a question I don't know the answer to. I don't know if it's gonna be Julian Richings or one of the or a different Richings.
Right. Well.
One of the Richings sisters. I don't know.
It could be any of one of the Richings or the Pourings.
Hey, Rob Benedict, everybody. This on? That was good, Robbie.
Was it?
5 seasons and 10 episodes in, you land
Oh,
one.
Wow. So, what do you think, Rich?
Look, man, what can I say? No, seriously, what am I allowed to say? The storyline with Ellen and Joe is just so great, and they're so connected. It's not like TV, oh, there's our old friends. Like, you really feel the history, and if you've been watching the show like we have been from the beginning, you know the history, you've seen it, the connections are real, the acting is top shelf from both Sam Ferris and Lorna Tall. Just great acting from those two.
Top shelf.
Both in their relationship with the boys and their relationship with each other.
Top shelf.
And
top shelf acting.
Top shelf, man. I mean, it's great. I just saw it, and the death scene is brutal. You're emotionally invested in that, in her injury and their death, and you hope something's going to happen to not make it so, but it's so. And it's a real bummer. Yeah. But really well done. Really well done, the whole episode. And then I think Rachel Miner's in top form. I think Pellegrino's in top form.
Yeah.
And Shepard's just got a bombastic entrance to the series. It's just a really good episode of TV.
And kudos to the directing as well. I feel like Phil directed the hell out of this episode, and
a young Philip Sgriccia.
We talked about some of the shots and how cool they were and different. It's always fun when you're watching a series and you take note of certain shots. You're like, ooh, that's a little different. So, and of course, written by none other than Ben Edlund, who just delivers every time.
Every time.
So yeah, the combination of that, the heavy hitters that are in the episode. And what's cool too is you can tell, like with Jensen and Jared, like when they're acting with those actors, like they step it up a notch too. You know what I mean? It's just,
well, your rising tide raises all boats, right? Every time they have phenomenal people to play off of, it enables them to be as phenomenal as they are. So
like there's some stuff between Sam and Lucifer that I thought was really just well acted by both of them. Just great stuff all the way around. This season is so good. It just introduces so many people that will become such a huge part of the show.
Yep.
And
everybody's entrance is so epic. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so cool. Even characters' returns. I'm going back to 509, but like that episode of being a convention, like the Chuck return.
Right.
Like people aren't just pulling up in a car and getting out.
Right.
Like, everybody's have these sort of like very character-driven, symbolic returns to their.
Yeah.
Didn't you think it was interesting the way that Lucifer killed the demons? I couldn't figure out why.
Just pops their head off?
Yeah, but why?
I don't know. I didn't get that. I didn't get what all that was about. He basically took over this town, Carthage.
Killed the women and children.
Yeah, and then gathered all the other men that were left and then killed them. Killed their souls or something.
Right.
I don't know. But he's using it to do something. He's summoning death.
Probably something not good.
No,
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the show, but I'm going to go with not good.
Yeah, no. Thanks. It's surprisingly, Lucifer's not up to any good. So...
Just when you think he's going to be the hero of the story.
Exactly. But again, Pellegrino makes it so human. When he's like, kind of tells his story, you almost feel bad for him in a weird way,
I'm just a massive Pellegrino fan. His acting is just so good.
So great. So, all right, it's time. It's that time where we give our ranking.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll start. I'll jump in here and just go, if I solely based it on Shepard, or I solely based it on Rachel Miner, or I solely based it on the performance of Mark Pellegrino, or I solely based it on the fantastic acting of
Ilona Tall and Sam Ferris.
Ilona Tall and Sam Ferris. If I solely based it on those elements, or the tragic loss of those characters, I would be giving it, for any one of those things, a Chris Stapleton. But you put them all in one episode, and it's Stapleton on a Stapleton.
Oh,
just a great episode. I'm going to go full Chris Stapleton on this one.
It's a Stapleton on a Stapleton, you said. That was
because there's so many. It's basically like 4 Stapletons, but I think the highest ranking is
so
the
it's
Stapleton.
got
So I'm
double
going
Stapleton
with the Stapleton.
Wow. These pages are never coming apart with this double Stapleton.
You're on fire today. Like, I should just log off. Like this, after the Richings and now the Staple joke. Are you working on a new act?
I am. It's all Staples jokes. It's the Office Hardware of comedy.
Are you doing the Office Depot Christmas party?
Yeah.
And you got to.
Yeah. Well, I am giving it the Kenny Loggins, the Loggins and Messina era 70s Loggins. It's just one of the good ones. It's a really good episode. Really liked it a lot.
Oh man.
Same reasons. It's everything we said. The writing, the directing, actors are top notch, and it's just really fun to see.
Gut wrenching, it's moving.
It's gut wrenching to see the end of the Harvell's episode, and I have to admit, I got a little choked up when Joe's crying and Sam Ferris is crying. But and at the same time, the end of their story and the beginning of Shepard's and Pellegrino's really. So anyway, Kenny Loggins from me. You heard it here, folks.
Chris Stapleton from me.
Stapleton on a Stapleton.
Stapleton on a Stapleton. That's or it could be a Stapleton on a Loggins, but Loggins might complain.
That's true.
Mr. Loggins might raise his hand.
I was going to give it a paperclip, and then you gave it a Stapleton. I got all days with these Stapleton jokes.
It's so good, man. This is so good. This is the kind of stuff they're definitely going to want you back. Like, I know you're doing the corporate retreat. But I feel like you have a shot at a holiday party. Good.
Thanks for letting me workshop these here.
By the way, we did all that without announcing that it was the R.
That's right.
Rob and Rich ratings.
That was in the business. That's what we call a tail slate.
Ooh, look at you dropping dirty words.
In the business, when you slate the scene. When you forget to slate the scene at the beginning, they do tail slate and slate it at the end. So that's what that was.
Well, but they always have it upside down. So maybe I should have said rah, 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 bar, and hickaker, zingaker.
Yeah. Yes, you could have. But now it's time to move on to the interview portion of the show. Returning to the podcast, we have executive producer and director Phil Sgriccia.
Philip Sgriccia.
And also returning, we have the actor who played Ellen Harvell, our friend Samantha Ferris. And here's our
Samantha Ferris.
Our interview with Phil and Sam. Okay, so we're talking about Abandon All Hope, and this is a big episode for Ellen. Phil, you worked with Ellen's full original timeline from her intro in Everybody Loves a Clown, 202, to this episode.
And what was the other one? The Horseman one with Titus Welliver.
Oh, yeah.
Gates of Hell, or something about the Gates of Hell, and there was 2 parts to it. I remember that. Yeah, that's right. You directed all my big episodes, didn't you? All my poignant, the first one, the last.
This one was Titus came in as the Horseman with the Mustang, and in that little
earlier this season, right?
He was convincing everybody that there was something wrong and that there were.
He was just a simple accountant in town. Yeah, wait a minute,
simple accountant.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Stephen was in there.
Yeah.
Stephen Williams. Yeah, that's right.
Rufus.
Stephen Williams. Stephen Williams is one of my favorite of all the characters I've ever worked with. Stephen, actually, I don't even know if I ever worked with Stephen, but Stephen, I see Stephen here and there. He's one of my favorite of all the people that we've worked with hundreds.
Yeah, I just saw him at a convention last couple weekends ago.
Such a lovely man. There were so many lovely people on that show. We're very lucky that we had.
Very lucky.
And I always say that it trickles down from the top because those two boys were really lovely, and you get good people when you get good people at the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I agree.
We're
Absolutely.
so lucky.
Yeah.
Not that we didn't have pain in the asses and high maintenance and prima donnas. We totally did. But of all the numbers, if it was a numbers game, we had such good people.
Yeah, the law of averages is on our side here. For
Yeah.
sure. Yo, and you talk about like the great people you had overall on this show. This episode alone is literally like the greatest hits of guest
We
stars.
loved this episode, Phil. As with a lot of episodes you directed, not only is it like well written, the acting is top notch, but Phil, I love some of the shots you did in this are terrific, and you don't always see that in Supernatural, like having Castiel sort of getting him out of the car, but then you turn, he's already
Huggy
out of
Bear.
the car. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I've heard, it's like one of those episodes where, for me, the big thing is Ellen and Joe give themselves up for the greater good. But there was so much else in there. We introduced Crowley because we had not met him before.
yeah.
No, we had not.
It's new.
So there was
yeah,
there
it's his first episode.
Oh, wow,
Mark
really?
Pellegrino
And Pellegrino does the most that he's done
Yeah.
yet. This is really the biggest thing he's done so far.
and his
In the show.
vessel is deteriorating, and so
Yeah,
there's a
that's
lot
wild,
of
yeah.
like cool. They come into town and there's reapers everywhere. That was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun stuff that was part like very canon for the show kind of things. They
Yeah,
up Crowley. We kind of
yeah,
in future episodes you'll see we made him the soul man, right? Because he's gathering souls, or he's just on the crossroads. So we kind of always played soul music with him.
Oh, cool.
So it was one of those things where we kind of like Everybody Plays the Fool was the first one. I think we did Me and Mrs. Jones is in one.
Huh.
Other
Oh,
things.
wow.
Anyway, before it got too much fun. I mean, it was
Yeah.
such a cool ensemble of our cast that came.
Great actors, yeah. And Phil, again, the shots are there's some really cool shots in this. And I even we haven't really done yet the Castiel seeing all the Reapers, but then no one else sees them but him, and I don't know, and the Hellhounds that no one can see, but the effects of the Hellhounds when they shoot and the blood sort of splatters, and the breath on Ellen's face right before she gets
That
it.
was so cool.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
On the hair.
Sam, did you know? When did you know that this was going to be your last episode, or that you're going to die in this episode?
The last alive episode.
Last alive episode, yes.
Yeah. Well, at that point in
Right.
time, you didn't know if I was ever but I think that anytime I came back after that was probably an afterthought, but this was the plan for the end. Yeah. We got a note. I mean, you have to get a note. I got a note from my agent, and then they said, or I don't know how it worked. Phil, did you phone us? I know that Phil did a really lovely thing. I don't know if you remember this, Phil, but Phil took us aside when Alona and I got there for the first day of this episode. I think we knew then. We'd already had a heads up. Your good news and bad news. Bad news is you're dying. Good news is you're going out in a blaze of glory.
Right.
Like it's going to be a great ending. And we need a mid-season cliffhanger. You guys are the fodder for it. And then when we got there, we went to Alona's trailer. Phil said, I want to see both of you. We went to Alona's trailer, and you gave us a CD of, you know what? It made me cry. She's a lady. And he'd put together a montage of Alona and I's stuff and presented it to us before we shot it. Didn't have to do this, had no responsibility, just said before we even shot the first scene, said, guys, I want to see you both in somebody's trailer.Maybe it was yours. It was somebody's trailer. And he said, I want to show you guys something. And he gave us both a copy of
That's
DVD
amazing.
back then. And, and it was a homage to the song She's a Lady.
So Phil.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, we were talking about sending you off because I think we did it. We did it for you guys. I think we did it for Jim Beaver too.
Ruth,
Yeah.
I think you did something
It wasn't
for
like
Ruth
everybody,
too.
but it was just the special folk. Yeah, yep, we did that. Yep. So it was just kind of like,
Yeah, it was nice.
Wow.
thanks for being part of our family and good on you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we always wish there's more.
Yeah.
But I got to say, it was such an emotional ride. You guys kicked it out of the park so many times.
Yeah, that episode really rocked. Who knew that it would be as big as it ended up being? And I don't pat myself on the back for that. I just think it was a great storyline. It was a lot of things. It was a lot of things. But it really, like, it still comes up as some of the best death scenes in television. I see it on post, people tag me, Entertainment Weekly, and I'm like, that's great. Like, you can't ask for better than that as an actor, right? Like, you really can't.
Well, I mean, and it's everything. It's you and Alona together. You know, Rob and I talked about this episode before you guys came on to do the interview, and hats off to both of you, because the history of the characters is there, even though it'd been a minute since we saw you guys. You know, like, you come in and immediately it doesn't feel like that. The guest star, like, gosh, it's been a minute. Wow, we have such history.
Yeah.
Like, there's such palpable history with all the boys, Bobby, everybody. And the scenes in the room or at Bobby's house are so great. And you just feel connected to you guys. So the whole time that this is leading up to this, and even though I know what's going to happen, because I know, the whole time you're thinking, no, there's something, no.
Right.
They're not, this is not going to, no. At the very end, this is going to be, and that's just great television. You know something is going to happen, and you're still in denial, even though you know it's going to happen. It's so well directed. It's so well shot. I feel like Phil did everything in his cinematic power to give you guys the best runway possible, but you guys landed the plane.
Yeah.
I mean, the acting is so good. It's so good.
Well, it's like you said, it really was a combination of, and I'm not being modest here, it really was a combination of special effects, lighting, direction, walk this way, turn it that way, do the salt with your foot. Like, it was, and there was a line that got thrown in by somebody else when I turn around and say, kick it in the ass. That was,
that was a Kim Manners line.
It was a Kim Manners line that was given to me by the stand-in that died. Was it Yock?
Yeah.
It was somebody that said.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and it was like, we should say something when you turn.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, there it is. Just say that and keep it simple.
Brilliant.
Because that wasn't even a line.
Kick it in the ass. And isn't that what Kim would say when you'd start to shoot a scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of action. He was so good that way. He didn't like the pressure of action. So he would say, and what does Clint Eastwood say? As
whenever
you are,
you're ready,
whatever.
or something like that. Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
And Kim Manners would say, kick it in the ass. So somebody came up and whispered it in my ear. How about try it? And we didn't tell anybody we were going to do it. And so we did both. We did it scripted and that, and it made it in. And I'm like, oh yeah, it made it in. And it was a huge part of that scene. So I feel like it was a lot of everything and everybody. And it was, like you said, that was palpable, because nobody thought, no, this is dream sequence. They're going to bring them back. They're going to bring them back. And no, they're not going to kill them. They're not going to kill them. And in the end, boom. And it was a perfect storm of everything that came together. And I still get the most messages I ever get are about that episode and that scene. I know it plays around the world because I get texts and tweets and Instagram messages of people saying still kills me. I mean, that scene affected a lot of people. That scene brought families together. Like, I would go to conventions and women would come up to me crying all the way in line, like watching them work their way up to me in tears. By the time they got to me, they were bawling. And I'd be like, oh God. And they say, I speak to my mother now because of that scene. My family and I are reconnected because of that scene. A lot of kids and their moms connected over that scene. It changed families, like, not to sound dramatic, but it changed people's lives just because they love the show and all of the stuff that came together in that one thing. And again, how can you ask for anything more as an actor? So we died, but wow, did we have a long-term effect? And I can't ask for anything better.
It's working when the boss man, Mr. Kripke, after he saw it, I don't know if it was in the office or if he texted me or something. He says, "You made me cry," and he says that's a hard thing to do. So again, hats off to you guys, because I think it was to me it was the two scenes. There's the one where Joe kind of explains it all, like she's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
and you're having a problem. And the boys understand, the bigger picture. They're like, they got to move on. We don't know where Cass is, shit's outside. And then the last scene for the kick it in the ass, and then all the way through, when that little moment where the wind, the breath hits your.
So good.
Yeah.
That, like, to me, that was such a cool moment, because it was like you're waiting until they're right there.
Yeah.
Like, you could have blown it up as soon as the door opened.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been as effective.
Yeah.
You wait for them to get right
So
to
specifically that beat, Phil, scripted, Or not scripted.
Yeah.
The breath and the hair.
I don't know. It was a Ben Edlund script, so it was probably, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I don't.
Because I could buy either. I could buy that it was Ben beat, but it also feels very Phil. Like to go, oh, we're going to be sure that the dogs are right up on you, and here's how I'm going to show it. So I could see it either way. Very effective, though. Very, very intensely effective.
Yeah. I mean, well, it was one of those moments where it's quiet and, the dogs are in, the door's kicked open, you're just waiting and you're waiting for them to get within the striking distance.
Ahoy, Rich Spade here. Hope you're enjoying the episode, but we got to pull over for a second for some messages.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But we also sell merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell and grow at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. They have an all-in-one e-commerce platform and in-person POS system, so wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. With the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers. Shopify has allowed us to share something tangible with the podcast community we've built here, selling our beanies, sweatshirts, and mugs to fans of our shows without taking up too much time from all the other work we do to bring you even more great content. And it's not just us. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Shopify is also the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/REALM now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Hello, my name is Alison Larkin, and I'm a writer, comedian, and narrator and host of the Jane Austen podcast. This podcast brings Jane Austen's stories to the 21st century, along with commentary from me and conversations with fascinating people who all share a love of Jane Austen. And of course, we had to start with none other than Pride and Prejudice. So join me as we embark on a journey through some of the most wonderful stories I know. The Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin is available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thanks for listening. Now, back to the episode.
How do you do the POV of the Hellhounds? Is that like a guy running with a handheld?
Yeah, we had a weird like a ultra wide lens, and then we put VFX put like streaks in
cool.
it, so it was kind of an eyeball feel. And then we just chased, after Jensen, we did one, and and Alana when she got nailed, that was one there too. We didn't try to over. The Hellhounds are always not problematic. They're just a part of the puzzle, right? Because you can see them, but they're supposed to be, big, giant wolf dogs. And, and so you're got to play the weight of them. That's why the puddles, we had all the rain and stuff anyway, but it was like, let's use the puddle. And then, when Alona's shooting with her shotgun, by the way, that lever action shotgun became Dean's at that episode.
Oh.
Because that was Alona's gun. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
From that point on, Dean had that gun.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even know
that was like his favorite, because it's like a Winchester lever action for a shotgun, not a pump action.
Yeah, very cool.
It's pretty cool. There's a lot of like stuff within the show that's like very show.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had played with the Ring of Fire yet.
No, you did in 508. And Gabriel gets.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You're in it. Yeah. So that was, a work in progress. I know it was kind of like we need lights to dance on the faces, but we can't have the flames, the real ones, but we can have a flame bar. It was like, you pick and you hunt and peck kind of the ideas to see what you can do.
So
because you can't go wide too long because the fire doesn't really. Fire's a hard thing to animate, so you kind of don't want to lean on it too much.
It works the way you guys sort of mastered the art of cutting around. What we see is enough to tell the story. Samantha, you mentioned the last line being a Kim Manners addition, but was there something in that spot previous to that? Was there a line that was scripted that you guys replaced?
Yeah. I think, no, they just used both. I say, and Dean, don't miss, I think is what I...
Oh, so they went ahead and used both lines. Got it.
Yeah. But the original was, and Dean, turn, and Dean, don't miss. And then they beetle on their way. And then somebody came and said, blah, blah, blah. And I went, and I think we stopped. I think everybody just stopped as an homage. And just naturally, after I said that, everything went quiet because everybody knew the crew and
yeah, it wasn't like announced that was going to happen. No. So sure, Brad, I'm sure Creaser, who was right in front of your face, was the one who went quiet.
Because it was fairly recent. That he had passed, right?
Well, he passed away in the middle of season 4.
Yeah.
January,
but it was so, he didn't tell anybody. And Kim, we're talking about Kim, didn't tell anybody that he was, he didn't like that stuff.
Sam, did you and Alona do any work before what you did on set? Was there any sort of pre-scene work or rehearsal? Or are you, at this point, you've worked together so well, it just all happened organically?
I think we just shoot. I mean, I'm here. I'm in Vancouver. She's in LA, so I don't think we would have had a chance. But that's a good question. We didn't plan to get together for this. I think we got told they had to be really quiet about the storylines because it was starting to get some big traction, the show. So they were trying to keep, they didn't want to give it away. They probably couldn't trust us. So it was like, I think we got told at the last minute. So no, we went into that pretty green, but I think that's a good thing because you didn't have to overthink it. Like emotional scenes, you can overthink that and turn it into garbage. You can't, it's like forcing, it's like trying to be drunk. You have to be the character, not act it. You act it, you're gonna, that you have a chance of screwing it up. So the fact that we didn't get a whole lot of time with it, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, because in that kind of situation, obviously there's a lot, whatever you guys need to tap into, it takes a moment to get yourself there. So in terms of you, Phil, was that scene scheduled in a way that you felt was beneficial to the actors, or did you have to do it day one because of the location, or how did that play out?
No, I don't think it was built on that old backlot that we actually blew up the front of it.
Yeah.
We were actually in that Jerry Wanick built a beautiful hardware store.
Meaning like it.
We were in that.
Where? Like where the Watchmen was shot? Like that old?
No, yeah. You remember that back street that we used to have?
Yeah.
No.
It's right on where we were outside with all the
I don't think it was far from the studio.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
It was down the road.
Yes. And it was where we had the outside scenes where they see the Reapers and all that. Where a store was just one of those stores.
Yeah.
Storerooms. And Jerry and his magicians in the art department would redo any of those storefronts and make them into different things. We used it for the Time After Time episode where we went back to the 40s.
I don't think I knew this.
But he would rebuild and make those. It was our own little back lot that we could change. And part of it was camera trickery. You tended to stay a little longer on the lenses. And we had some beautiful rainy days when they drive up. We didn't have rain towers for that. That was okay. So, we built. Yeah. So, Jerry built the set there. And so all the trucks are behind, there's a big parking lot and whatnot. So it's you just can't move walls around, but that was okay. We were going to be close and handheld anyway. I mean, they're not going to do some wide, high up in the corner shot. It didn't feel like we wanted that. I wanted to kind of be inside everybody's space a bit. But I don't remember schedule wise. My guess is that it would have later, not at the beginning of the episode. It would have been
good. I mean, I know
later.
that's always optimal, but you don't always have the choice. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, you shoot the kissing scene first.
Yeah. Yes. You did. Yeah, you definitely in that day. Well, that day was most of it was us crying, but the day was timed right. The stuff that without the snotty nose and crying happened first, and then the back half of the entire day was just crying.
Yeah.
It wasn't the last day because I remember the last day was just the shot of me taking the chain off the door and moving the salt. Like it was, and that was in a different shot. That was a different shot. That wasn't even there. That was somewhere else.
Yeah.
But in the actual hardware store, I think we were there. Well, we were there all day, and that was they shot that chronologically.
So, Phil, did you really blow up that set?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we ruined it, set.
You jerk.
You know, when 10 pounds of C4 is not enough, why not 20? You know, our special effects crews are always worried they're not going to be big enough. It's going to come off as a dud, right? So add a little bit more black powder or gasoline or whatever. So when we blew that up, obviously nobody's in there near the building. We were like, a block away almost because it was that big. And we had 5 cameras on it. And, you go from Ellen hitting the button with a bit of a flash and then outside you go. But I'm sure we had to pay for the rebuild on that to the backlot people who owned it.
Any other damage besides that building?
No, I mean, it was contained to that building, but it had a lot of flame to it. So it means it's going to burn wood and it gets hot super fast. Right. So, if you're, they had to cover sidewalls and stuff like that on the other parts of buildings that you didn't see just to make sure that it didn't catch fire. But those are, they're scary as hell to do but when they work, it's like, ooh, we get paid to do this. Yay.
And then you just have like fire trucks standing by and you put it out or what?
Well, yeah, there's a whole fire crew that's part of Burnaby and our own, the special Randy and his crew, the special effects guys. They have tons of, people there because, they're responsible for all this and they're also responsible that nobody gets hurt. So it's, and again, it's one of those shots where you go from a close up of a finger hitting the button to kaboom.
How many cameras did you run for that explosion?
At least 3. I think it was we had one from straight across, one from the side. So you got the side blow, it went outward. And I think there were a couple more, but it was so big that the whole thing went orange, the frame does. And then, you cut away to the boys around the backside of the alley. We did a big flashlight blast on them because we never saw their point of view because we couldn't because of the nature of our location. But having that big giant thing and you just saw it explode. So you as an audience know what's happening.
Right.
And then, their pain on their faces is evident.
Yeah.
So well done. That whole sequence, the whole episode is so well done. There's so many, we talked a little bit about your creative shooting, Phil, earlier. And one thing I would comment on is so much of that is in camera. Like it was not visual effect stuff. It was go behind the column, then do that twice. Go start on Castiel, boom up, marry those 2 shots together. You know what I mean? Like
as an editor, how things work because you're piecing them together. So years being an editor, I understand there's a lot of times people just go up to the pillar and then stop. And that's the problem is that the momentum of the camera is dollying sideways. And even though you're not going to use the packed part, you need the momentum of the camera to continue. So each of those was a duplicate with and without the actor.
And a good time to tip the cap to Dolly Dave Riopel, who was the master at replicating his moves.
Yep. He was our motion control artist.
So good at doing that and just doing the same pacing, same time. So those edits are so seamless.
Yeah, we had some fun. I mean, there was the giant zoom that we did to Castiel. Over there, we zoomed fast. We never zoomed, but I said, let's try one.
Yeah.
And I was totally expecting Eric to say,
which shot was that? I'm trying to remember.
It's very 70s TV.
It's a very peck and paw kind of thing.
Yeah.
The 2 guys kiss in the foreground, and the camera floats up above and zooms
to
and you see
Castiel.
He sticks his head out around the collar. The tongue.
So great.
Was I got him.
Yeah. So good.
It was just one of those things. It was like, let's try that because I wanted to do it as a series of cuts, but the zoom worked kind of cool. And I said, well, let's leave it at that.
It's almost like Tarantino does that. I mean, he's just referencing Peckinpah, but it's like a very, very cool, very artsy shot.
You get one of those every now and then through past Eric.
Yeah.
Very stylized. I have a question about that, actually. Did he give you guys freedom to do whatever, or was he pretty like, no, that's not the nature of the show, that's not the core, that's not the, or did he just, whatever?
Us directors kind of, we have tone meetings with Eric, and he tells you what he's looking for. And he tells you, this is what we're expecting. And, he never gives you, don't do that. Although the wonder thing that Kim Manners used to do so amazingly well, he came up with these shots. And I was like, how does he come up with this? But Kim would do one take on a wonder that was 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
And then in editing, Eric would go, well, let's go here. He's like, sorry, that's it. And Kim would do one take and move on.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like, Kim didn't shoot that. That's became the thing in
well, Kim had the
directors.
freedom to do that, though, man. Like,
yeah,
He was Kim.
no,
yeah.
he did. Believe me, 99% of the time it was great because they were so textural. I'll say they were so well done that it told the story. But there would be one time where you go, he dollied, past the red button, and the red button's the story. And
there's things Kim could get away with that would have resulted in me being fired. You know what I mean? Like,
well, for sure. But to this day, Eric says no wonders, please.
Yeah.
And he likes to, we mold the show in the cutting room, and times when all of a sudden we'll cut a scene in half, and if it's in the middle of a wonder, it doesn't help you get in or out of it.
Here's a story question for you, Philip.
Yeah.
And I assume it's in the script this way, but I'm still curious. Why does Bobby burn the photo? Like, why wouldn't you frame that son of a gun and put it on the mantle?
We talked about that, and and I think it was just a visual.
It's very dramatic.
Send-off.
Yeah,
it was
very
a sentimental send-off. It was, if he kept it. I mean, we talked about we can always bring it back because he didn't burn.
That's what I said. Rob, negative. Rich, yay.
So
I don't know why that's against me.
High five, Rich.
I didn't realize we were having a competition, but
oh
that's
man,
a good point.
Well, the other thing that Rob and I did have a little bit of a laugh about, the moment's gorgeous. There's nothing about that episode that's not very emotional, but I did have that moment of like, boy, Bobby really hot-footed it over to the photo mat to get that photo printed up while also being...
No, Bobby has a dark room in the
But how does he get into the dark room?
That's what I said. Point for Rob.
And he has an
That's
elevator.
what Rob said.
High five, Rob. You got to high five the camera.
High five.
Rob did say the dark room bit. I don't know, man.
What I really... Part of that was so much fun was we got Santana.
Yeah.
And that...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That song plays the whole scene and it ends where it does. I don't think we did an edit in the song.
Oh,
so
really?
it got cut and it finishes right on the flash.
Dun,
and
dun, 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 yeah.
And, it was super fun just having like you and Joe doing a drinking game with,
that was a funny shot.
He's like this other, he's an alien, right?
With Misha, yeah, that's right. And he drinks me under the table because and the whole
thing was very,
I'm starting to feel something.
Yeah, that's right.
It was nice. You see, everybody and Dean doing his shtick with Alona, and
everybody loved that. There are certain things that the fans really loved about that scene. They caught the Kim Manners thing because the fans of this show are hardcore fans. They know all the little things that we do, which I love. They catch it. That none of that stuff, none of the little nuances that are supernatural are lost. Mm-hmm. They loved the goodbye kiss to Joe, and I think what hit them the hardest with our scene was that I gave myself up, not for nothing, but my daughter ended up dying before you know what I mean? That was where people got hit the hardest. They were like, oh my God, she even died. She didn't get
I know.
Well, and then Rich and I were saying, thank God you stuck around, because otherwise the plan would have failed.
Yeah, because
right?
if she had died, you would have let go of the button and the dogs would have been out there.
And then they would have gotten the boys.
It really doubled the impact of your sticking around.
Yeah, it was a big sacrifices. That show is a lot about sacrifice, right? There's a lot of symbolism in that whole show that runs through the thing, and sacrifice is a big part of it. Family and sacrifice, and that was the ultimate. It was like, I'm not going to let you do this alone, and then I have to live through my daughter's death. And the funny thing is, they shot, and screw you, Phil, they shot Alona's tears first, and I'm like, because you got to be careful. You can't give it up, right? You got to go.
You got to save
your
your
tears. I couldn't help it. Because
I know,
the tears were real. It was our last episode of the show. No one likes leaving that show. It's like getting broken up with by a boyfriend and a family that you love. It's like, we're leaving. Bye-bye. And I cried in the parking lot. Alona, we all ran into Jeannie Chow. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, and she's like, everybody that leaves cries because they feel like they've been broken up with and, they've lost the family. And it's so true. But it was like, so the tears were real. And Phil, I think at some point in time said, and you know how it works. We're shooting a coverage first. Sam, don't blow it all on a low coverage. We got all day to do this. But I couldn't help it because it was real and it was palpable. And it was like, okay. Now, by the time they got to my stuff, was my bawling more under control? Yes, but it still worked. Like, absolutely.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
It was
Yeah.
much less.
Totally.
If I could have, I would have shot both of you together.
But well, you know how that goes.
No.
You can't. So
But
it
you
was,
can't.
but I remember Phil going, Sam, don't blow your wad here. And I'm like, I can't help it. I don't want to, I'm not going to give Alona nothing. I'm not that.
She's acting.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, okay, but just, heck, we got a long day. And I'm like, I know. And I'm like, Sam, pull it in. And I couldn't pull it in. So I'm like,
You got lunch.
Well,
You got
whatever
lunch
you
coming.
did
Yeah.
worked phenomenally well because the scene is
It
just
really did.
what it should be.
no,
It's great.
My greatest, it's my greatest acting accomplishment. Only that I will hear about it till the day I die, and I love that about it. That it will have affected people for the rest of it affected.
And aren't you
lives,
glad
like
that's
I
something
said.
you're proud of? Because there are
Yes.
those moments where you're like, wow, I really shit the bed on that. And oh, good, it lives forever. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, people are going to be talking about this forever. No, I'm very proud of that. And only because we didn't know the effect it would have. I mean, Phil did come up and say, ladies, you really killed that. And we're like, you don't know, right? You're like, okay, great, fantastic. And then it went on to be a big, it went on editing and all the lights and blah, 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 blah. Everybody did their part. And it just ended up, editing's so important. And going back to the boys and just the look of forlorn on their face, like that was so palpable. Everybody came together and it just became a great scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you both of you for coming and talking about
That's
it.
it.
It was an epic.
You're not done with us. This is an extended
No, this is
version.
it.
Yeah,
You got to get
right.
the director's cut in there. We rarely have two people
Yeah.
together, by the way, and I'm so glad we were able to have you two both here to talk about this momentous episode and that scene alone. So great.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm always glad to talk about this. It comes up in conventions all the time. That's in fact at conventions. 99% of the stuff that fans want to talk to me about is that scene.
That's amazing.
I loved it is amazing. It'll follow me till the rest of my days. So, like you said, I'm glad that I like that scene because it will be.
Yeah.
Like it or not, it's with you.
Yeah, it is.
Well, part, there's also beyond that, it's like the mid-season finale.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the whole ending where they shoot Mark in the head with the Colt, and then he wakes up and says, "Oh yeah, there's 5 things that don't work on that gun don't work on, and I'm one of them." And then death arises from the ground.
Yeah.
with
I
all the
know.
puppies.
Yeah. It's huge.
I mean, it was a good mid-season
great.
thing.
Yeah.
there.
It's such a powerhouse.
No, it's great.
episode.
And you're left going, really scared of Pellegrino and what he's capable of and what, and what's to come. Yeah, no, it's great. So many epic things in this
man, a lot
episode.
of moving
I wasn't
parts.
expecting
A
it.
lot of great stuff.
There's a lot of moving parts in all of them, though. Like, did you ever see an episode and go, that was a dud? Like,
No.
Very, very few.
yeah, out of all of them, like how many
Out
was
of-
that? 23 times 15. That's a lot of fucking episodes.
Yeah.
327.
And to have only a few, and I'm sure there was a few that went, people will probably went, okay, that wasn't.
Yeah, I think in the first year, the Bugs episode is one that always gets Kripke-esque about because Kim Manners was directing that, and it was like, Bugs? Really? We're going to do Bugs.
And it's not even that bad. The weird thing is you go back and watch it, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's fine.
All the bees went up into the rafters. Like they released 25,000 bees into this set, and they all went to the ceiling. They weren't buzzing around.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But it's, no, in general, I mean, the show is just, it's been fun for Rich and I to
Been
rewatch.
so great.
And this episode was a highlight.
Good.
all right, wait a minute. What beards did
Stapleton.
I gave the Kenny Loggins.
they give
Yeah,
beards?
we gave it the highest review we give, which is the Chris Stapleton beard and the Kenny Loggins 1970s beard. So you guys got the highest ratings.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, we'll go with that.
I'll take that.
Good seeing you.
Great
All
seeing
right,
all
very
y'all.
Yeah, you too, you guys. Lovely to see
Good to see you
all.
too.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks
care.
so much.
This is Jared Padalecki stopping in to say hi and let you know that we've got to take a quick break. Thank you for supporting Supernatural then and now. And now, back to the show.
Well, it's fun to talk to Sam and Phil again.
We rarely have two guests on at the same time. That was
much
awesome.
less two recurring guests, but together.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. And nice to hear their recollections
Yeah.
of a very intense
Yeah.
episode.
Well, now it's time for mythology. Here's a little history combined, Rich.
Okay, let's combine it.
Here's a little history combined, Richard.
Okay, let's combine it. Bobby tells Dean that the reason Lucifer came to Carthage, which is Missouri, which is the Show Me state, and is the birthplace of Robert Patrick Benedict.
right.
It's because he needed a place where a manicure has occurred. No, because he needed a place where a massacre had occurred to raise death. He references the Civil War battle named after the town, which I assume is Carthage. He says it was so intense that the soldiers called it the Battle of Hell Hole. Throughout the Civil War, Missouri was split between the two factions, though it remained in the Union. It is called the Missouri Compromise because though they stayed in the Union, they maintained their right to have slaves.
Right, but there was a lot of infighting within the state. So there were a lot of battles in Missouri, actually, and people don't realize that.
Yeah, a lot of battles in Missouri. For example, in the Benedict home.
Oh, yeah.
Matt and Rob over supremacy of in television.
Sure. Not really, but yeah. A lot of fighting in the Benedict house, that's for sure. But Matt was on the Rob side of the battle.
What about the video game thing where you won and he?
It wasn't a battle. He won.
Off?
I had no fight. I had nothing.
But you won and he turned the game off.
Exactly. He turned the game off, and then you could.
You had a fit.
I had a fit, but I lost. I was always lost with Matt Benedict.
It's a battle you lost.
Like I always lose with Richard Spade.
The battle put pro-Union and pro-Confederate Missourians intent on swinging the state to one side or the other. The Battle of Carthage occurred in 1861 and had 7,100 combatants with 2,445 combined casualties. The Battle of New Hope Church is the battle that Bobby is actually referencing. It was the Battle of Hellhole.
So wait.
Also known as the Hattle of Buttholes.
That's good.
And now, on top of that crazy mythology, we get some fun facts. Fun facts. Fun facts. They're so fun.
The episode's title refers to Dante Alighieri's The Divine Comedy. Outside of hell, there is a sign that includes the phrase, "Before me, nothing else was created, nothing. But the eternal and I last eternally. Abandon all hope, you who enter here."
That's the sign outside of hell? And that's the phrase? I tell you, that's a real wordy phrase. Like, no offense, Dante, but like you could have tied that together a little better. I got a little lost.
Yeah.
Before me, nothing else was created, nothing? What the hell does that mean?
I don't know. I mean, I can't.
But the eternal and I last eternally? I'm not sure you do, bud. I got to be honest. I feel like this is the reason why that slogan is not on a lot of merch is because it doesn't really ring.
Would it be the eternal in me? No, I guess the eternal in I is right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Abandon all hope, you who enter here. That's what's right outside your front door.
And they do, by the way. and then it says, and also please take off your shoes.
Right.
Joe Harvell dies in this episode the same way a possessed Sam described her father dying in season 2, episode 14, Born Under a Bad Sign. Sam recounts to her that her father had died while out on a hunting trip with John. John used him as bait, and he died trying to hold in his insides after a monster attack.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
Hey, good pun, Robbie. Deep cut. Holding in your insides.
Yeah.
Woo! Is this thing on? Thank you, Staples.
Big ups to Office Depot. Carthage, Missouri was also the setting for season 4, episode 4, Metamorphosis.
Your state's getting a lot of play in Supernatural. Did you have a hand in that?
Totally. I can't say I've been to Carthage, but I've definitely heard of it.
I smell road trip.
So we got to go through Vegas to get there anyway.
Oh, Brian, city gonna. Okay. In the deserted town of Carthage, there's a missing persons poster of a woman called Leslie DeHaan. This is a reference to assistant production coordinator Leslie DeHaan.
There you go.
Pretty right on the nose there, reference.
Yeah. Not even a reference. It's just they just copied her name.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to Kansas City, Missouri, there are a lot of Civil War monuments, battlegrounds.
Yep. Benedict House.
No, not Benedict House, but Kansas City, near Kansas City. So.
Oh. Sorry, I was thinking.
My uncle used to take us there. Well, don't you? You have a lot of that in Tennessee, which there was no compromise. Tennessee was just straight up.
No, there was no compromise. There was no real debate.
Are there a lot of battlegrounds there as well?
Oh, yeah. Sure. Battle of Franklin, stuff all over. All over the South, the soldiers were moving around. Yeah. So there'd be battle sites or skirmishes in certain areas and, all kinds of stuff.
We learned a lot here. We learned a lot about history, American history, and we learned a lot about Winchester history. We cried a little, we laughed a little, and we're ready to move on to the next episode.
Close to, we're almost there. We need a minute, but we'll take that minute and we'll get right back on the horse. Yeah. Hopefully not one of the horses of the 4 horsemen, but we'll get back on the horse and plow forward into the next episode. In the meantime, thank you for being a part of this one, because it was a doozy and a goodie.
And thank you once again to Phil Sgriccia and Sam Ferris for joining us, and we will see you next time. This episode of Supernatural features Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester, Jansen Ackles as Dean Winchester, and Misha Collins as Castiel.
Guest stars include Mark Pellegrino, Rachel Miner, Mark Shepard, L. Harvey Gold, Jim Beaver, Samantha Ferris, and Alona Tall. And is Mark still credited as Mark A. Shepard? I noticed on that episode he was. I don't think so, but
anyway,
I don't know.
On that episode he was credited as Mark A. Shepard. Abandon All Hope was written by Ben Edlund, directed by Phil Sgriccia.
Editing by Anthony Pinker, music by Jay Gruska.
Executive produced by Eric Kripke and Robert Singer.
The original broadcast of this episode featured the following songs: Everybody Plays the Fool by Main Ingredient,
and Oi Como Va by Santana.
This episode originally aired on November 19th, 2009.
This episode of Supernatural Then and Now was hosted and executive produced by Richard Spade Jr. and Rob Benedict.
Produced by Stephen Hine, written by Stephen Hine and Haida Holscher.
And edited and associate produced by Trey Booty.
In the words of the Hellhounds, arf, 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 Booty.
Music provided by Tim Wynn.
The episode was recorded with the help of Sonic Fuel Studios.
This podcast is from Story Mill Media.
Follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at SPN Then and Now.
And become a member of the podcast at www.patreon.com/SPN Then and Now.
Joe Harvell dies in this episode. Thanks for reminding us, Steve. We know. It was so intense that the soldiers called it the Battle of Hellhole throughout the Civil War, Missouri.
So he says that the battle's called the Hellhole throughout the Civil War, Missouri?
I think there's supposed to be a period there, but I prefer that there's not. I was reading it. Like, the soldiers called it the Battle of Hellhole
throughout the Civil War, Missouri.
And
I thought
that's a long.
And I thought there is no Civil War, Missouri. Like, that's not the name of a town in Missouri.
Story Mill Media.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.